Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special segment of Success Link with America's Supermom. I am so excited, guys. Tomorrow, I will be doing a fireside chat with Mr. David Meltzer. I have interviewed him in the past, but I think this fireside chat I'm excited about because it's the opportunity to really create strategy. Many of you that are business owners know that the importance to planning and organizing whatever it is that you want to do, you can be a lot more successful when you plan because, as someone said, if we don't plan, we really are preparing for failure. If we don't plan, I can't remember who it is. I love quotes, so I have so many that come up. I reference to, and it gets all jumbled. Who said what? But you know my point. The point is about planning. Well, I wanted to get on here to talk about networking because networking is usually a challenge for many people. You mention the word, and all of a sudden, people clam up. They don't know what to say. They don't understand that networking is not about selling. I have had so many people pour into me and help me in this area that are experts from Mr. Ivan Meisner, well, Dr. Ivan Meisner, who was the founder of BNI. He and I have had a couple of interviews, and he is known as the father of modern networking. He is the founder of BNI, and if you guys want to look that up and see how successful they are at conducting meetings every day and the number of referrals that they are able to do in the span of 365 days. It's amazing. So, networking is really not about selling, it's about relationship building. So, I wanted to talk about this because many of us miss out on a lot of these opportunities. I had the pleasure of sending out some personal invites. So, if you're in my network here through LinkedIn, especially, and probably Facebook as well, you might have received a personal invitation from me about this fireside chat. It's a great opportunity for you to get in the room, so to speak, with people that are doing what you aspire to do. Networking is not always the most convenient thing. Okay, we're always thinking about what am I going to wear? Do I have to pay to park? Who's going to go with me? What am I going to say? Do I have any business cards? The same old stuff that happens. But now we have the pleasure of being able to network in the convenience of our own home. This fireside chat I love because it is on Zoom. So you can get dressed up, glammed up from the waist up, and you will be right in line with what is going to be happening tomorrow. So I want you to realize that networking is about being in the room with certain people. So I wanted to come on here to talk about some tips for ways that we can really make the most out of networking. The first is when someone invites you to something, there's this thing called RSVP. The first thing is, it's not really mentioned on there, but just respond. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm not going to be able to make it, or I can make it. Do you need me to bring anything? Right? That's a normal thing. It's like, do you need me to bring anything? If we were in a live event or, a friend or family member invited you to something, what do you need me to bring? Right? That's the first thing that you would say. But you want to respond, acknowledge that you even received the invite. Now, what this does is this puts you in the mindset of being top of mind with the person that invited you. Oh, that was so nice of them. They responded, whether you make it or not. That response is an open door for communication. So the ball goes in the other person's court where they could say, oh, we appreciate you letting us know. We'll keep you abreast of future events. Or You can take that and say, oh, I'm not going to be able to make it to this event. How can I support you? Do you need me to share it with my network? Um, is there anything that I can provide to help make it more successful? Right? Um, do you need me to donate anything? It's getting to be the holiday season. Can I donate something that is a part of my business as a door prize? Right? I mean, it could be anything. This is a captive opportunity for you to get in front of someone who has reached out to you, right? They are reaching out to you. You have them in the palm of your hand, and it's a great opportunity for you to segue even into a Zoom call. Hey, I can't make it. Would love to hear the takeaways or want to hear what you plan to discuss. Can you meet with me so we can do a personal one-on-one? You see where I'm going with this. So that's the first thing, is simply responding. The second thing is something like what I said, sharing the post. It doesn't cost you anything, right? You can share, want to support my connection on this event. Stay tuned. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'll give you an introduction, whatever the case is. Now, that is valuable because you have the opportunity to expand your reach as well as the reach of the other person. It's a collaboration and it's not costing you anything. So the next thing is kind of share your platform with their platform and just simply letting people know that the event is taking place. The graphics, everything else is already done. You're just simply hitting share. The next thing is with that, if they have an event scheduled, it's a great opportunity for you to make a comment in the chat. This is golden because people look at that chat. That chat is evergreen. It stays up for as long as they want to keep it up. So if the event is on networking, for example, okay, you might have a networking tip. You might have a networking video that you've created. You might have an article on networking. You might have a networking program. You might have anything related to networking, right? This is a great opportunity for you to share in the chat. The chat is just like a live event, right? It's just like being in person. People want all the relevant information necessary for that event. If you're going to a buffet dinner, you want all the different entrees that you can offer. So if anyone is willing to pitch in and add to the menu, you're going to welcome that, right? And so that's the same thing when you have a chat. It keeps people engaged. That chat will keep refreshing every time somebody comments and adds to it. And this is an opportunity for you to also increase your reach with the people. Now, you want to make sure that it's relevant information. You want to make sure that it's something you're given that's valuable. So if you are going to be talking about networking, make it a tip, right? Let's not get in here and get into the point of, you know, trying to sell people. I have a networking program, right? Now we can refer to some of these things over time, but you want to give value. You want people to say, oh, that was a good idea, what they said. Let me go check out their profile, right? Let them be the one to follow the breadcrumbs. Don't just start throwing stuff at people, right? Because you never know how it's going to land with them. So you simply keep the conversation at hand and give a tip, right? You can do that in the form of a video so that they can see you and they can feel like they know you even more. You can refer them to some free content that you have on some of your platforms, right? Whatever that looks like. But it's not an opportunity to sell, but it's an opportunity to add value. All right. What this does is this will draw them into you and they will begin to look at your profile, right? This is another thing. When people were putting stuff in the chat, look at their profiles, connect with them and say, hey, I saw that you made a comment on this event. I would love to get together on a Zoom. What was that tip that you shared? Do you have anything else? I was in several rooms on Clubhouse and people would suggest things. And I didn't get a chance to write it down. I'm just like in between rooms, or I'm doing something with my kids and they make a good comment. And then I click on their profile, follow them, and then I reach out and say, hey, I wasn't able to get what you had said. Can we schedule a call so that I can hear more about what you were discussing? That has happened several times, and it's a great opportunity for you to make a connection with somebody. You can connect with them, find out a little bit more about what they're talking about, share what you do, and before you know it, your network grows even more. They feel very compelled and excited that somebody's listening. How often are you on a platform and you're like, man, I don't know if that resonated with anybody or not, whether it's a Zoom call or it's something on Facebook, or what's the other platform? Clubhouse, right? You're not getting any feedback while you're talking, so you're not sure how it's resonating. But when people reach out to you, you feel like, man, you know what? I hit a home run. This is great. Somebody was engaged and listening. So this is a great opportunity to take that connection offline. Whenever you're thinking about networking is just a way to get in the door, right? It's an opportunity to get in front of somebody, but you want to make sure that you take that connection offline. Take it somewhere where it's your own physical property, right? So it's just like somebody who does window shopping. If you have a brick and mortar and you have a window where people go by and they're looking at it, you want to entice them to come inside the store, right? So, yeah, you got their attention. They're stopping, they're looking at the stuff in the window, but you want to make it so that they come inside so that you can get that personal interaction with them. This is the thing. A lot of people run from that personal interaction. They get nervous. I don't know what to say. You just have to be yourself. You don't have to sell anything. You just have to strike a conversation. So, for example, if someone threw me in France, and I'm going to use that as an example because it's a language barrier, I don't speak French, but that discomfort about meeting somebody and trying to sell them something, I would really feel even more intimidated because there's a language barrier. But if I simply just said, okay, what would be the first thing? I really don't speak French well. Do you speak English? Right? We would try to develop a rapport, a way that we can communicate that is non threatening, non intimidating for either of us so that we can kind of get our point across. And this is what should be the focus when you're meeting people. It should be trying to figure out what that rapport is. You don't want to damage any relationship right out the gate because you're offering somebody a milkshake and they're lactose intolerant, right? This is what happens when we try to sell people stuff. And it gets very disheartening to the other person because it's like you didn't even ask me. You didn't even take time to find out, if I'm allergic to anything. You just offered this to me like I'm just any person that you run into, like I'm no different. I'm not special, right? And so you have to begin to have this rapport with people. Find out what it is that they enjoy because it is not a particular one size fits all, right? Now, we all may know what pain looks like, right? We have this issue where it looks different in terms of how we respond to it. Some people isolate themselves, some people pretend it doesn't exist and they go all out just putting on all these masks. I only know this because this was me. Okay. I was putting on masks. I was isolating. I mean, whatever day it was, depending on how I felt, was a way that I was masking it. So we may see symptoms, but the symptoms are the result of different types of pain, right? So it's up to us, just like a doctor, you have to do a diagnosis. You have to say, okay, what is it that's bothering you? You have to ask the questions to get a little deeper. Now, what you find in many of your businesses, I'm sure, people never really know what their problem is. They know that they're uncomfortable. They know they want a solution, but they don't really know how to fix it. If they did, they wouldn't have the problem anymore, right? So this is the problem, that we have to figure out how they tick. What is it that is unique about them? And figure out a way that we can give them the medicine they need in a way that's going to get results. If you find out, like I have kids, some of them are teenagers, they're not pill takers. We're still like 14 trying to get some liquid medicine. Okay. So, we're at the pharmacist and it's like 2 or 3 bottles of the stuff because they have to take it in a liquid form because they can't swallow pills. Right. So we have to figure out, what is it that they can swallow? Do we need to give it to them in liquid form or pill form? Right? We're not going to know those answers if we don't ask the right questions. And so that's really what it's about when it comes to networking. It's having a rapport, finding out, do they have kids? How long have they been doing their business? What are some things they're afraid of? What are they looking forward to in the new year? Right? What are some principles that they abide by in their business? If we begin to ask more questions like this, we would save ourselves a lot of heartache. Because how often do you just assume that somebody you meet is like you? You agree on one thing going to this event, and so you just immediately assume that you're like minded, right? You find out if you just ask a few questions, hey, we're not resonating. We have different core values. You wouldn't even be wasting your time, right? And so we need to get more into diving a little deeper, peeling back that onion, saving ourselves time, energy, and money, right? By doing these things. So we're back to networking. Networking is free, okay? It's free all over the place. You get on LinkedIn, Facebook, these different platforms. How often do you see these flyers? This summit, that summit, these speakers, right? If you're a podcaster, this is another tip. And you see these flyers, you can reach out to the person that organized it or any of the speakers. Hey, I saw that you're having this event. I am busy doing my business. I'm a podcaster, and so I'm booked for that particular event. However, I would love to have you as a guest so that you can share your insights with my audience. Now, most of these summits have anywhere from 10 to 12 speakers. That's 12 leads that you can get right away, right? And just getting in front of them, what person is not going to deny the opportunity of being on a podcast? That's more exposure, that's credibility, that's you creating a deeper relationship, going through their profile when you do the interview. Hey, by the way, I loved what you shared. Do you have any friends? Or I was able to go through your profile and I see that you know Sally, John, and Jane. I think they would be great guests, as this month my focus is on charity and I see that they have a nonprofit. I would love to have them on as guests to talk about their charity so that I can really provide some content that my guests might enjoy. You see what I'm saying? We just don't want to do the research, right? And so it's a matter of doing your research strategically so that you can move yourself forward. Why are we going out here spending hours doing certain content, beating ourselves up, trying to do real when we really don't want to do a reel, right? And it's all over our face when we're recording, or trying to do a video and doing all this stuff instead of just really honing down and looking at our network and our resources that we already have and leveraging them so that we can work smarter and not harder. I don't understand that, right? So when people reach out to you, that is a golden opportunity for you to respond in a way that's going to move you forward. But that doesn't happen if you don't have a strategy, right? When people reach out to you, if you don't have a strategy, you're not going to know what to do, right? It's all about asking. Now, I'm going to tell you the story about how I was able to connect this fireside chat with David Meltzer. And so hopefully this will inspire you to stop making excuses. Now, I didn't even introduce the fact of who I am because many people who watch this, you know how you just do so many videos and you're just like, oh, they know who I am, and people don't know who you are. Well, I'm America's Supermom. My husband and I have 15 children, 1 5. 10 of them still live at home, and it is nonstop entertainment. Okay. We've got ages 7 to 31, no twins, all single births. I and my husband had 13 together, and 2 of them are my stepchildren. So that's a little bit about me. But my journey was that I was an only child. So the transition to having a large family has been crazy. During that time, I was raised as a high achiever, academically, just doing everything right, so to speak. Met my husband in college. We got married after having our first child, right? We had our first child, and he already had a son. So, needless to say, it wasn't that perfect arrangement, but we got married. We began to have a family. I longed to be at home with my kids because my mom was an entrepreneur. She never could go on field trips and none of this stuff. And so I wanted to be able to be that class mom, go on field trips and do all the stuff with my kids. So that was my story for staying home. Well, got a degree, a marketing degree, and didn't feel that I could work and be a good stay home mom, right? I just didn't think it could work. I just felt torn. When I was at work, I'm thinking about the baby. When I'm with the baby, I'm thinking about work. It was just crazy. I just felt like I was just in two different directions. So that whole process of building your life around this dream of getting that dream job, working it, retiring, having your kids, and this perfect life, that was not my reality. I was having not just 1 or 2 kids, but the numbers just kept rising. And all my colleagues had careers and I didn't have one. And I just didn't have anybody that I could identify with. As the numbers got greater with the number of kids and just staying at home, the sacrifices that we made for me to be at home and the things that, we had to be creative about, with a family our size, it just really took its toll. So during that time, for 13 years, I struggled with depression, but it wasn't like I didn't even know I was depressed. During that time, I was hospitalized 3 times. But for me, I thought depression was staying in the bed, not doing anything. So having all these responsibilities, taking my kids to soccer, PTA, going to church, community events, all these different things that were happening, I didn't even realize that I was depressed. I just had an attitude, hey, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? And my husband worked, he was in the military as a reservist. So there were times that he was just physically not there. So it's like, if he's not here, somebody's got to do it. We got to keep it moving. So that was my mindset. So going into that and thinking that, I didn't even know I was depressed. So now I'm just on a mission of really helping people to understand that, we can create our own reality based on what we believe. So I was going through this period, even though I wasn't saying it to anybody or nobody was saying it to me, I was feeling inadequate. I was feeling like a failure, but this was what I was telling myself, even though nobody else said it. And so it was this constant beating myself up that left me in this place of really being down and depressed and living my life behind a mask. Literally, I was had a mask for every different occasion because it was just like, pretend everything's okay. Nobody has to know. So on the outside, nobody knew anything was going on. But I say all that to say that after that last hospitalization, I just realized, hey, I don't even know who I am in the mirror. I need to get back to finding out who I am so that I can be all that I can be and embrace whatever I want to embrace, right? I'm following after stuff, and it's like, you live your whole life for this mindset of thinking, wow, I sacrificed in school, I got good grades, and I did all this, and I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. What's wrong here? So I've learned over time to define my own American dream, hence the name America's Supermom. It incorporates the fact that now I can blend these things. I can be a business person and a mom at the same time. and letting go of what I feel other people think I should be doing. And now having the courage to stand up for what I believe and speaking about it. So, knowing where you stand is so important because you will not be distracted by things that look like an opportunity, right? So if somebody comes to me and it's like, hey, I got this new business idea and I think it's just great. You got a big family. I mean, people do that all the time. And I'm like, look, that is not underneath my vision and goals. I appreciate it. I do have a network. You can be a guest on my podcast because it may not be for me, but I don't want to limit my guests from hearing your knowledge because it might be for somebody in my network that might be able to appreciate it. But it's so clear that some great things by knowing where you're headed, having a strategy. So I said all that, and I'm almost about to forget what I was talking about, but we're back to this thing of how I got connected with David Meltzer. The first thing is if you don't ask, the answer's always no. So David Meltzer started out where he was on Clubhouse, and Clubhouse, if you guys don't know what it is, look it up. It's a great opportunity to network with people. There's some big name people that you can have access to, from Les Brown, Bob Berg, he's an author, Ivan Meisner, Michael Gerber. These are some of the people that I've come across on this app, and David Meltzer was one of them. So he was on a Clubhouse stage. And so you'll see that it's being on stage or being in the audience. If you're in the audience, you don't have a microphone, you're there just in listening mode. If you're on the stage, in addition to the speaker who speaks, you also have a microphone so you can ask questions, you can interact and engage. So he was speaking, and I happened to be on stage, so I had the opportunity to ask him a question. He answered the question. I think I asked him too. And after that call where he was on, I reached out to him on LinkedIn and I said, hey, enjoyed what you said on Clubhouse, whatever, would love to have you on my podcast. He said yes, right? That is as simple as it was. So from that, we scheduled. He's a stickler for time. I was trying to get him on for like, I think 45 minutes. I was like, hey, I got him on. Let me have a private VIP session with some of my people on my network. He was like, not having it. Okay. 20 minutes is all I got. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. So I did an interview with him in March. Well, later on, time passed. I've seen him on and off Clubhouse. And he has several segments that he does. So going and supporting him. He does office hours on LinkedIn. So I share that when I can. Well, playing around with my website, right? Don't know anything about what I'm doing. Not the most technical, but I was finding out about these features, how you can do autoresponders and stuff. So I started doing these autoresponders. So I was running this um, promotion for Christmas time about a boot camp and things that I wanted to do for moms to kind of get them going ahead of the holidays, ways that they can strategize to have the holiday and not really be stressed out. So I was sending these autoresponders. Well, I'm on his mailing list as a result of doing the podcast with him, right? Because he sends me stuff, and it's just a weekly newsletter that he has or something, right? And so how the autoresponder works is anybody who sends me an email, my email goes out directly to them. So my email went out talking about this program. He read it and he sends it over to one of his assistants because he CC'd me on it. He says, how can we accommodate on this? And I thought, what? He actually read this and he's thinking about how he can help with it. So I immediately wrote him back and I was like, Mr. Meltzer, I appreciate you getting back with me. I said, I would love for you to come and share your insights on the holidays and how, we can move forward in 2022. Okay. 30 minutes. So he writes back to his person, how can we set this up? They send me a speaker form ask him more details. I give him the details, tell him the dates. We get together on the dates, and this is how we now have a fireside chat. And he personally signed his books for those who will be in attendance. They will be getting a copy of his book. So, one thing that I say is that people still read email, right? So, get your email system in order. I don't care if it's once a month to where you can write people, thank them for something, have a theme for the month. Like this month is gratitude. You can go off of some of the current themes that are going on for the times that are happening. Create your own theme, depending on what type of industry you're in. If you're in the movies, maybe it's, Hallmark month or something. I mean, here in the United States, we watch these Hallmark Channel movies, if you know what I'm talking about. They're nice, wholesome holiday movies that people watch, in the spirit of Christmas and the holidays. So, whatever that is, right? If it's love month or whatever, you want to come up with the theme, send that out because people do read their emails and they do take action. So that's one of the things. Always staying in connection with people. You never know how you can collaborate with something in the future if you don't stay connected. Continue to stay connected. If it wasn't for him sending me those emails and my email system responding back, we would just not be in communication, right? So you have to continue to nurture those relationships. And it's not always about asking people for stuff or selling them. It's about just genuinely telling them what you're doing, them telling you what they're doing, and you finding ways that you can collaborate. If he had something going on and he's like, hey, I'm trying to, his goal is to impact over 1 billion people with how they can be happy, right? How can I help him with that mission, right? I'm offering him to be on my podcast, him to have an intimate one on one, so to speak, with a few people in my network, right? This is how we begin to go deeper with our relationships, and we can ask for things, and it's give and take, right? So I'm loving this chat. I want to say thank you so much, Elvina and Maddie, for following with me. I'm loving the engagement. And this is another thing when we have that engagement is really acknowledging that. So I'm 50. So I tell people that chatting back and forth, when you're trying to do a presentation, it's not that I'm not listening and that I'm not acknowledging you, but people don't realize how much production goes into doing a video. And then if you're reading the comments, then you're trying to respond, all these different things, it can be crazy, y'all. So now I'm on StreamYard. So StreamYard is doing comments from every platform that I'm streaming on. So it might be a Facebook person, it could be a LinkedIn person. So we're not even going to go there. So I will want to say that I want to thank you so much for watching. But I want to really kind of wrap it up. I can't believe it's been 33 minutes, y'all, that I've been on here. But the thing I want to say, and I had some pages that I was going to refer to, but I think I'm going to talk about one of them that's in this book. This is this book, Connected to Greatness, right? Um, if you have any questions for him, feel free to put them in the comments. I think people miss opportunities to get insight from people that are doing what they want to do. Now, if you're in business, it is a marathon and it's not a sprint. By that, it's work that you have to do. You got to put your work in, right? It's about either doing the work or paying somebody to do the work, but the work still has to be done. The best example is if I'm a farmer and I have a bunch of seeds and I say, oh, you know what? I have arthritis. I've got all this land, but I have these seeds. If the seeds don't get planted, I'm not going to have a harvest. Now, if I am not in a position to plant the seeds, what I'm going to have to do is find someone to plant the seeds for me. Hence, I'm going to have to hire somebody to do the work that I normally would be able to do with my own hands, but I have to hire somebody to do it because I'm not able. And so we forget that. We think magic stuff goes on. We either have the option to do the work, or we can decide, I'm my own boss. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not going to work that hard. No, you still have to do the work. It's a numbers game. If you're in sales, you have to talk to so many people before you get a sale, right? That's just how it is, because it is not so much about um, the number of people you talk to, but it's, are they willing to buy at that point? Are they really at a problem phase to where they need it today? Or are they in a cycle where you're introducing them to your product? And then when they have a need, they're going to come back to you and get that product. So, for example, if you are a restaurant and you're trying to serve people that have already eaten, it's not that they don't necessarily like your food, it's just that they're not hungry, right? They've already eaten. So when they do get hungry, they'll know who you are and they'll reach out to you. So I hope that makes sense. All right. So I am concluding with this last part. This is just one part of his book, and it talks about one of the key elements of a strategy is planning. So he says, Benjamin Franklin said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. To achieve success in any endeavor, you need to have a plan. You need to think about it. You need to be more interested than interesting. You need to take time and bring all of those things that are interconnected into the equation. So he goes on and gives this illustration about how he has a strategy with getting up in the morning, his morning routine. He found ways to knock time off by tweaking certain things so that he has more time in his day to spend with his family, to do other things that are going to help him to grow. And so, this is how we have to be when it comes to doing our business. What is our strategy, right? When it comes to networking, what is our networking strategy? You have to have one. It's not a situation where you build your plane while you're flying. Now, yeah, we do have those moments. We have been pivoted into doing virtual events instead of live events. We had no choice if we want to continue to grow and to meet people and expand our reach. But what is your strategy with that? Are you going to get over yourself about being nervous to being on camera? Or are you just going to allow that fear to paralyze you and stop your business from growing? So we have to figure out what's our networking strategy. The real thing to remember is that you have the ability to create that. You have the ability to determine how you're going to show up for your business, for the people that you're going to meet, the leads, and everything else. So, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching. If you have any questions for Mr. Meltzer, tomorrow is the fireside chat. It is at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is limited spots. He did send me some of his books for those that will be in attendance. And so if you want to be on board, feel free to reach out to me. I will give you the information. And I think I'll also put it here in the chat. But if you have any questions for him, this is someone, look at his story, look at his profile, look him up, David Meltzer, Meltzer, and find out his story and think about, what question would you want to ask him? If you could have him in a room by yourself, what is one thing you want to know? Put those questions in the comments so that I can be sure to get those answers for you tomorrow at our fireside chat. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any insights that you would like to share about networking, I'm an open book and I'm always about learning, and I'm meeting new people from all over the world. So I would love to hear your comments as well. So that is all that I have for this episode. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow as we network at a fireside chat with David Meltzer. Good night, everybody.